This is What the Frap. I'm your host, J-Zilla. I have here with me one Elise Harper. Hello, Elise.
Hello.
I want to ask somebody like, hey, how was that when I get killed? Okay, let's keep rolling. So, Elise, I have you on the show today because, like I said, I love women. I love my two young daughters. I'm constantly looking for ways to just really, I don't know, stoke their imagination and stretch themselves and just realize, kind of, I guess, expose them to more options instead of the norm out there. So tell the good people, I guess we can start with what you did and what you currently do.
Yeah. Well, I kind of did life a little backwards. I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I went to college the first time. So I went to Western Kentucky University and I graduated with a degree in broadcasting. And then I worked in the television field for 13 years. So it was a creative field. I did various jobs. I worked in production, I directed newscasts, I worked on film sets. And then I found my way to Orlando, Florida, where I worked for Fox and I became a promotions producer, writer, and editor down here. So I did that for about 7 years. And then I was like, this isn't my passion. And I kind of like found out that I like to code. I like to write. It started with just little HTML banners on the website. And so I was like, wow, HTML is really interesting. So I started learning more. And I was like, wait, what's this? CSS?
Hmm.
And started learning more about that. And like, I feel like I kept peeling back the layers until finally I was like, I'd rather just do that as a job rather than this. So it was a big change. Switching careers in your 30s is not easy. Especially when you have kids, mortgage, car, whatever, bills. And you have to go back to school and get another degree. So it's really hard to have time to do all that. And I went back to Valencia, where I got my degree in computer programming. And I think I was like one of three women
Wow.
in the entire degree. Yeah, and I was like super pregnant with my son, and I had like on campus classes. So I'm like the only woman in there, and I'm like
Oh
really pregnant. And I'm
no. No.
like definitely stand out right now in all these classes. But I loved it and it got my foot in the door. I decided to like make the leap and just kind of switch careers and I did take a pay cut initially, um, going from TV to IT world. Started as a QA tester, testing all the software,
Mm.
and then I worked my way up to front end developer. And then now in my current job, I'm a full stack developer. And now I just got a promotion to a team lead. So
Congratulations.
it's like, and that's only in 2.5 years, you know. It's only been 2.5 years since I've been in IT. I've had, I've worked in two different places. And so I'm learning a lot. I'm still learning. And I kind of can't believe I've moved up so quickly, I guess. And I'm loving it. I love my job. I love what I do. I don't dread Mondays anymore, which is so nice.
I love how that can be a bit of a myth for people who really enjoy what they do, right? So that's that whole old adage of the difference between a career and a job. Like a job, you're counting down the seconds till you're off or a break or whatever. And a career, you just never have enough time. It's like, what? It's already time, but I got other stuff to do, you know? So I really enjoy
Yeah.
hearing people talk about careers versus jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind of career that your brain doesn't switch off. Like, even though you're, at night laying in bed, you're still like, hey, wait a minute, what was that bug fix that I was trying to figure out all day? And it'll pop into your mind at like 2 a.m. and you'll wake up and you're like, I gotta write it down or I'm gonna forget
Yeah.
it.
Are you one of those that keep like a notepad and pen next to your bed?
Yeah, I usually do. Or I type it in my phone.
Oh yeah. All right, the kids and the phones. Excuse me.
I used to send voicemails to myself.
Oh, that is old
You know, you
school.
can do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can like record voicemails and send it, and then that way in the morning you're like, oh yeah, I did do
Yeah.
that.
See, people hate when I leave voicemails. I'm very old school like that. I hate texting. Hate, hate texting. Okay. Uh,
How can you hate
oh my goodness, it's
texting?
so involved. But really, it starts with these sausage fingers. You know, there's just I hit like three buttons at once, and I'm constantly backspacing. And then I try to do the swipe thing, but my phone just doesn't get me. You know, and so I try to now I do like the voice texting. I hit the little microphone,
Oh, there you
but then
go.
the phone doesn't understand. You know, I'm still working on it. So I talk. I'm normally like this, but when I'm talking to my phone, it's like way up here, almost like I'm a woman. Like I would like for it, you know what I mean, for it to really register, which is kind of sexist on the phone's part. We'll get into that later. I'm just
Okay, we'll circle
kidding. Yeah,
back
put a
around
pin
to
in it. Put a pin in
sexist
it.
tones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what like I don't even know where to begin. How did you approach your husband with like, hey, I'm gonna change careers in my 30s with the cars and the kids and the
Oh,
mortgage? How'd that go over?
yeah. It was a definitely like a 5-year plan.
Mm,
Like it was definitely something I had to plan out. I
right,
couldn't
right.
just up and quit, and he couldn't just. Um, we needed my income basically, so I still needed a way to like switch careers, have a little cushion to like float me because usually when you switch careers you got to start from the bottom
Starting
again.
from the bottom.
I was like where like 23-year-olds were, and I'm like in my 30s. I was like, yep, back at the bottom. But and then I'm like, hey, was I like that when I was 23? Did I act like that? But no, it's good.
No, I'm just kidding. No, so
No, just,
right, so I don't know why, but I picture we've known each other for a long time. In my mind, I picture like some colorful PowerPoint. I was like, okay, Mr. Harper, here's what I got. you know, walk me
it
through it.
pretty much
Yeah,
was.
it really.
I was like, so I got to get my degree.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I went for my AS degree just so I can
What's
like,
AS?
that, like I said, Associate of Science.
Ooh, fancy.
But I already had a bachelor's. So,
Okay.
like I said, I kind of did life backwards, right? And I decided to just get a 2-year degree so I could go ahead and switch careers and get my foot in and maybe start getting experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, when I finish this degree, I want to switch careers and I'm going to save up my 401k, and then we're going to cash that out when I quit TV, and that'll float us for a
Mm-hmm.
while. That kind of thing. It was like really planning it out.
Nice.
I don't know. It was hard. It was hard. It was very
How I was
stressful.
about to say, how stressful? What kind of anxiety or you know how scary was that to venture into those new waters?
Well, I had an infant. I just
That's
had my
right.
son, and I like had to take some time off for
Mm-hmm.
him for different health reasons. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go back to TV. Why go back? I'm just going to use this to kind of springboard into my next career. And, it ended up working out really well. I was very lucky to get the job that I got. I actually got it through one of my professors. He
Hmm.
like recommended me. So yeah, so you never know like where a job opportunity is going to come
Right.
from.
Right.
And luckily in the IT world, there's an abundance of jobs. Like they're hiring, every company has IT
Mm-hmm.
departments. There's always something somewhere. The thing I didn't really realize with IT though is it's kind of segmented. Like once you get into like healthcare, like you do IT for a hospital, you're kind of in that sector,
Mm-hmm.
or banking, or just different sectors. There's like theme parks because I live in Orlando,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm actually in cybersecurity now, and I'm loving it. So it's pretty interesting. It's really interesting work.
Wow, it sounds like it. Is it because you said I know you spoke before? There's not a lot of not a lot of women in this sort of business. Is it because there's not a lot of opportunity outreach, or is it just women not really that interested in it, or what do you think it is?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've asked myself that. Like, I've kind of pondered it. Like, why aren't more women in this
Mm-hmm.
field? And if you think about it, it is mostly men. And by mostly, I mean about 97% of software developers
Ooh.
across the country is men. It's male. And so it's not just like a little bit off, it's very off. Like, I'm the only woman in my IT department at my current job. Um, and I'm one of two women in my current degree program. I don't know why women don't get into it more. I wish they would. I think because it's very technical and very math based, I think a lot of people get very scared of
Mm-hmm.
it initially. But it's just like anything else. If you learn it, you can learn it and be good at it, but you have to get over that learning hump,
Mm-hmm.
like you have to kind of get familiar with it first. And of course, there's frustration in the beginning. But then once you do, it's a great job. It's a expanding field. There's all kinds of jobs out there. And you know what really gets me is like if you think about it, most software is made from a male perspective then. Like if most men or most software developers are men,
Mm-hmm.
you can guess that most software is made from a male perspective. And so that's interesting because who's using these apps? A lot of the
Right.
shopping apps,
Right.
women are. And so we're using these apps that are designed by men. And, there's a lot of things that I like to change. I want to change something. So I come in and I'm like rearranging stuff. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. We're going to do this, like we're going to rearrange this. And so
Yeah.
to have that different kind of brain. And not only that, but I think like coming from a creative field in TV and coming to a fully technical field,
Mm-hmm.
it was a big change. And so I kind of have like a little bit of that brain still left in me. And I'm like, whereas everybody's so focused, hyper
Right.
focused on the code. And I'm like, no, we need to like change this around. It doesn't make sense for the users.
So you're saying that most so I'm not sure of this number. I'll have my producer look this up uh, because I feel like women make up most of our consumer sector, right? So you're saying that software, I mean, even though they're doing most of the shopping and the buying and all this sort of thing, that it's being made by men specifically for women.
Yeah, isn't that
Yeah, it
crazy?
sounds like they're.
Like pretty much like all the apps and all the
Hmm.
software you use is pretty much made and designed by men.
Right.
And it's like I no, we need to change that because we're 50% of the country,
Right.
right? Or women,
Hmm.
it's 50
Yeah.
50, and
Yeah.
like it needs fair representation, and everybody's on their cell phones and
Hmm.
their iPads and laptops now. So everybody's using apps or software in some form or fashion. So it's like we need to get more diverse with it. And
Right. Well,
it is, and when I say diverse, I don't mean just, because
color, gender.
IT, I would describe, yeah, IT is very diverse because we have people from all over the country. A lot of people work remotely from other countries, India, um, Russia,
Hmm.
Bulgaria. Um, and a lot of companies hire, foreign men uh, to work there and I don't think, I have to say, it's not on the companies. I don't think women are applying for these
Right.
jobs. There's just women who aren't out there. Like they're
Right.
not in the industry. And I've tried to pick my brain and like figure out why. And I, so we went to high school together,
Yes.
right? We didn't take any
No.
coding
Well, I mean,
classes.
that's
There
Spring
wasn't
Hill.
any.
I love Spring Hill. I had some fond memories of Spring Hill, but it was Spring Hill. So that's a
It
horrible
was,
example.
yeah, it put a hammer in your hand and made sure you knew how to swing a
Yeah,
hammer.
yeah.
It wasn't, you weren't, we didn't learn code. I think we had like one robotics
Mm-hmm.
class with Mr. Stacy that I took and I was like, wow, this is so cool. But I never thought of it as
Mm-hmm.
a career or like, hey, maybe I'd be good at this. Let me explore it more.
Right.
I just didn't know. I wasn't exposed to that. I think
Yeah.
the most technical class we had was keyboarding,
Right.
right?
Well, I know the so I watch a ton of media, and I'm trying to read more. It's working out well. I'm working on it. But I know there's a lot of data out there just kind of comparing men and women. I know it's kind of a hot button issue, but there are some real differences. Although it's not as the gap isn't as big as we think it is. Just on the edges there, in the extremes, one way or the other, men are more interested. It's what a lot of studies are showing. They're more interested in things, thing based things. The
Yeah.
steam fields. I'm gonna go big game hunting and fishing in the Arctic or Alaska somewhere, whereas women are more people oriented, which makes sense when I think about any woman in my life. I may be with some friends that I've known for a couple of decades, and maybe a couple of ladies I've only known for a short amount of time. If I get into a scrap, like the men are going to let me have it, right? The jokes flow freely and quickly, and then these women are like, "Are you okay? Like, let's check on you first before we start just roasting you over this stupid thing that you did." So I think some
Yeah.
of it is branding, and some of it is our consumption of mass media and marketing and all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of it really
Hmm.
is just interest, And like you said, like our
I
post
think
school in Spring Hill, it just wasn't available. So who knows?
no. And there's probably a lot of kids that you wouldn't be exposed to coding.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you would just pick up a computer one day and learn C programming.
All right.
So it's like you got to have someone show you
Mm-hmm.
and expose you to it in order to find out you even have an interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I think as more women do enter the field, I know there's a big push to get women
Mm-hmm.
and uh, especially in like African American. I think they're, underrepresented in this field as well. And it's not like I said, it's not that the companies aren't hiring them. It's just there aren't any applying to the
Mm-hmm.
jobs, just like women. And so it makes me a little sad because I think that we could gain a very valuable perspective
Right.
if we would hire, people and especially like hire Americans and because a lot of software is made by foreign speakers
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell like it'll have grammar mistakes and
Oh,
stuff like
okay.
that. Yeah, so like nothing wrong with
Mm-hmm.
that. It's just, you know, for some software, I would love for it to be made, homegrown kind of thing, like people here working on it
Right.
together.
How much space do they give y'all to, or how much do they encourage? I guess um, having them take some core English classes, and then you all, English. If English is your first language, you take some core language classes in their language to kind of get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, so fun fact, America invented programming, right?
Oh,
And so
I didn't know that.
it's written in English. And so programming languages are written in English, even if, I mean, I can't speak for like Korea or like the Asian countries because I think they convert it to their actual characters. But most programming languages are English, and so the Russians learned English
Mm,
because they had to learn it to code,
I see.
and so they know coding English, like they know enough English to code, so they can do an if loop,
I see.
but it doesn't help for conversation, right?
Hmm.
But most of them, if they were moving here, wanted to learn English and took courses in English and was we're trying to learn English, but there is still a language barrier when you're working with people. And so, that is something that you have to overcome. Like coming from TV where it was all English
Mm-hmm.
speakers, and because you have to be because you're on air. And, um, now going into IT where it's like people from all over the
Right.
world. And it's really interesting. I've learned so many different cultures. Like, we would have these IT banquets where we'd bring like a
Mm-hmm.
dish where it was all from your culture. So that was really cool. You get to learn a lot and get to see different perspectives.
That's awesome. Do you have any?
Yeah.
So those are some of the positives. What are some of the negatives with the language barrier and the cultural differences? 'Cause I know, like, I've met people who are from some countries where it's proper protocol to be able to have a conversation, and if you can't smell the other person's breath by being like face to face, they consider it rude. So I had a guy like talk to
Yeah.
me here and was like,
I,
"All right," and they're like, "Hey, what's the problem? What's the problem?" I'm like, "Okay, all right, I see. It's a culture thing. Just grit and bear it. Grit and bear it."
There is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that. We hired a new Russian guy, and he came in on his first day at work and kissed everybody on the cheeks.
Oh no.
And we were all like,
Are
"What
you okay?
are you
Are you
doing?"
okay?
This is pre-pandemic, I should
Yeah.
say.
Oh man, thank goodness.
I know,
Because,
right? So I was like, "No, we shake hands. We don't kiss."
hmm,
And he had no idea. And then so there is, like I said, there's a language barrier, and sometimes it can cause like hurt feelings or misunderstandings. And even sometimes it's kind of funny.
hmm,
And so we have this chat, and I called my boss in the chat. He said it was posted a meme or
hmm,
something. And I said, Rishi, you're silly. And the Russian guys, they were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that to the boss." Like, they were so
hmm.
crazy and they were like, "I can't believe it. He's going to be offended. You got to apologize." And I went back. I was like scrolling through my
What
chat
did
like,
I
"What did
say?
I
Right.
say? I don't even remember. Did I say something really bad?" And I come to find out, silly, they thought I was calling him like dumb, like an idiot,
Ooh.
basically. And I was like, no, we say silly like funny,
Yeah.
like, haha, you're being silly, like a cartoon character. It's
Right.
so
Right.
funny. And they were like,
The light
oh, because
bulb
they were
hits.
all messaging me like, I can't believe you just said that to
Right.
our boss. Oh my gosh. I was like, what?
Now, did you slip back into old Elise habits and break out the PowerPoint and say, "Okay, dumb, not very good. Silly, very nice."
Yeah, yeah, I did. I did. I sent like a bunch of
Oh
definitions
no.
over to
Oh no, Elise. Elise. I just,
I, I've always been a nerd at heart, right, Jeremy?
yes. Yes. Wonderfully so. Wouldn't change it for the world. So, and even situations like that, that's why you need diversity. Because I can very much see, like, as I was sitting here listening to your story and kind of placing myself in your shoes, I mean, just like, you'll get it later. I've just waved it off. But that focus,
Right.
from the lady's perspective of like, okay, no, I want you to understand that this is okay. That you need that diversity. That's how I think once you get diversity across the board, all the demographics, race and gender and all that. That's how you get the best ideas out there. I think the more universal ideas are the ones you see out there that are really successful.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. And when you're working, I think this is the same as in any field. And when you're working with a good team of good people, and men, women, all different cultures, all different races, it's good. And you get all these perspectives, and you're all working together. You can really make something that will work with everyone's point of
Mm-hmm.
view, because sometimes I'll see things differently than the rest of my male coworkers. I'm like, didn't you know? Like, you can't put that button there. Nobody's gonna see it. We gotta move it.
Right.
So things like that, it's just helpful to gain a different perspective. But mostly I don't.
Sorry.
I'm proud of myself for being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
in a kind of a, man's world, but I don't feel labeled. I don't feel
You're just a
like
coder.
I'm an outsider. I feel like I'm part of the team. I'm learning just like they are. We're all learning from each other. We're all helping each other out. And when you get a good team together like that, like what I have now, we can really create some cool stuff, like what we're doing for the power grid.
Yeah, well, that's something. I mean, that sounds like sports to me. You know, I'm a sports guy, so that I can always equate things back to sports. Just bear with me. But it's one of those things of that competitive nature. You're all doing the same sort of thing, and if you're proficient, you get your props. If you're not, you're gonna get taught. I mean, you're gonna get roasted, right? So this thing of the respect for the game and how it's played, no matter who you are or where you come from. That's what I love about sports. We may not see eye to eye on politics or family values, whatever. But once you're on the court, field, or wherever, you know, wherever you're playing, it kind of all that other stuff just fades away. Like, is this person good at what they do? Great. I need them on my team. I want them on my team. So that's
Yeah.
how I equate that.
Yeah, it was a little, I have to admit, it was a little intimidating entering the IT field just because I was so new and I felt like, oh my God, did I make the right
Mm-hmm.
decision? What am I doing? I was in TV and I knew that job inside and out. I could do that job in my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in a job where I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. I don't know what to do.
That is good. That is
you
so
know,
good
like,
for the human psyche. Anytime you just get
yeah,
caught up in this, like I know, like when I worked for Nissan, man, it was one of those things of like when I first started, it was like, man, all these moving pieces and parts and a certain standardized way of doing things and just, it's a lot, but it was exciting. But as soon as I learned it all, it was just kind of like, here I am again, talking about Mondays, like hated it. Every
yeah.
day was like a Monday.
You feel like a
I
robot.
was
Yeah.
a robot. It was the same thing, the same place, the same people with the same stories and jokes. I was over it, So that's what I like about vocations like this. So I want to go back to you talking about how sad you feel about not why more women are not involved. Do you know of any initiatives to get women involved specifically, and are you involved in any of those yourself?
So there is called Women in Coding. I so that one's specifically trying. It might be called Girls in Coding.
Oh yes.
I
Oh.
think you've heard of it. It's in schools,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to get specifically school age girls into coding because they're thinking like if we can raise them in a STEM field and be comfortable with math and
Mm-hmm.
science and technology, then they're going to like it and they're going to want to pursue being a scientist or being a computer
Mm-hmm.
programmer example. And so that's the thinking. It's not going to change the field
Right.
immediately because these girls are like in elementary
Mm-hmm.
school. And so, we have a problem now. And I do know a lot of companies, JP Morgan is one of the big ones. They're trying to hire and promote women in IT. They're trying to promote them to managers because you can look up this stat too online, Jeremy. It's pretty crazy. So out of all the like IT, there's all kinds of IT roles,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's software developers, there's system admins, there's database, there's all kinds of different roles in under the IT umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So across the country, I think it's only point two. There's a point in there. 2% are of the managers are
Like
women.
0.2%.
Yeah, it's really low. Double check me on that, but it's super low. It's like less than 1%.
Oh,
And so it's like what, like a half a person is doing a job.
I
Like,
guess not even.
did they hire
Right, that's a
half a
fifth of a
person?
person.
Right?
Oh, out of 100.
So
Sorry.
it's like kind of staggering.
Sorry, I'm still getting used to being a gross male with the microphone. Excuse me. So yeah, the coding, the girls in coding. That's something when my now 15-year-old was in middle school. they were promoting. And what they were doing is it was like an after school thing. It didn't cost anything, and they would bring them
Mhm.
in and kind of expose them to it, let them play around, and then start teaching them piecewise. And then, and then I guess at the end of the program, they were giving away free laptops. And I thought, like, man, like I had my daughter in, and I was like, come on, man, just try it. If you don't like
Yeah, yeah,
it,
yeah.
just try it.
Did she do
Yeah.
it? She didn't want to do it?
Well, she did it. I think she liked it, but she's very, I don't know. She's gonna kill me for saying this, but whimsical, I guess is the word. Um, she's one of these people who, whatever she tries to do, I know it's cliche. Like if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. She literally
Yeah.
does that. Like we got her on a skateboard. What was it? Some rollerblades, and there she went. I took them ice skating. Elise, have you ever seen a bear on ice skates? So none of us.
I'm like the
Oh my
clumsiest person
goodness.
on ice
Oh,
skates.
I doubt
Like
it.
I fall
I
down.
doubt it. So it was myself and my two daughters, and I'm literally all right. Hold up, let's talk this out. Now it's a lot different from your rollerblades and all this kind of stuff. You gotta be careful. Let's just stay on the wall for a while, and we'll ease out little by little. Well, we get to the ice, and she just takes off. She's never been on ice skates before. Just like, where'd she go? She comes back around. It's like, what? So have you done this before? No. It's like, how are you doing this?
She was doing laps
Like
around you?
laps, like laps.
Jeremy.
Oh, it was awful.
Oh my
I
gosh,
stayed.
that's
I'm
awesome.
not kidding you. I'm not exaggerating. I promise you. I was probably on the wall for like 15 minutes, and then finally, like, I let go just enough to where if I was starting to fall, I could still reach out and grab it. Right, and I'm just scooting along, and I eventually
Right, right.
edged out. And my other daughter, she's very willful and very much a go getter, not to be outdone by anybody. So she saw her sister and was like, "Oh no, I got this." And so she fell a couple times, but she got the hang of it by the end there. And then you want to talk about a pitiful sight? I ate it so hard, so many times. I'm still sore from it. I probably got a big bruise down the right side of my body. And literally, it ended with them on each arm just escorting me back to the
Oh,
wall.
they had to help
Oh,
you.
it was off. And then, like, people, of course, oh, look at the dad. I mean, having a good time in my experience. Meanwhile, I'm hurting,
Of
I'm
course.
embarrassed, but also very proud. So I try to just push them to try a bunch of different things and just see what you're actually passionate about, what you actually
Yeah.
like. So she's more into art and animation and things like that. She's gonna be doing some, I think, voiceover stuff pretty soon here. But yeah, I
Oh,
tried.
that's cool.
I tried. Yeah.
Yeah. I will admit, as with anything, I don't think software development is for everyone. You have to like it. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
curious. You have to want to learn it. There's some skills like math that you should be strong
Yeah, she
in.
hates it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's I think we should expose girls to
Mm-hmm.
it just so they can at least say, I tried
Right.
it. I don't like it. It's not for me. And then
Yeah.
they
I
know.
think that's a now. So my example was a very small sample size, but I really do think that it really comes down to, yeah, it's okay, but not interested. Maybe that speaks
Right.
to what we were just talking about earlier, which is I'm just more like I could probably do because that's a stat too, that women are more capable of doing a larger uh, diversity of things, but they're interested in a very small amount of things to where males, by and large, so we may be talking about 60-40. I mean, it's that close. But males are more like tunnel vision, like, ooh, I like basketball. Nothing else exists. I like coding. I like
Yeah.
mathematics. I like being in the lab, research, all that stuff. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think that's why
Right.
I feel like there's a country. I cannot remember the name of the country. But they tried this pure equality thing to make sure pay was across the board the same, promotion, exposure, all these things, and it only made the gap worse because people literally just more so kind of clung to their interests, which women or men absolutely dominated. A lot of the like I said, the thing oriented stuff, right? We're doing the dangerous jobs. We're on skyscrapers and building things and that sort of thing, and women dominated even more so the medical field. From assistants to nursing to doctors, specialists, just dominated. So it actually widened that gap, which again brings us back to, we just are interested in different things. I'll be really
Yeah,
interested to see that number. So, what are some of the ways that J.P. Morgan are trying to promote women to managers in those positions?
I know they're trying to like recruit more women into IT and specifically be
Mm-hmm.
managers in IT because that's where women are really, really underrepresented.
Mm.
It's a huge gap, gender gap, as far as like nationally, how many women are in management in
Mm-hmm.
IT. And so a lot of companies started this initiative. Of course, it was pre pandemic, so I
Mm.
don't know how COVID ruined that, but at least they're trying, at least they're trying to get the word out that, hey, we're hiring women and maybe women will be attracted to switch careers, kind of like what I did.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I know, like on Facebook and places like that, they have this thing floating around trying to get young kids in general. They don't make it female specific, but just trying to get kids into coding. Period. I feel like there's about to. I mean, there has already been a big shift in technology, but I think there's going to be an even bigger push and hopefully a more diverse flood into that market. Before we continue, my producer is telling me that we have a couple of corrections, aka some points that I made that were, I don't know how to say this word, wrong. So what you got for me there?
What? You?
I know,
Wrong?
I'm as shocked as you are. Right. What you got, producer?
So we just have a couple of statistics updates in reference to women's interest in the IT field. So one thing to know is that saying 3 out of 4 or 74% of girls expressed an interest in computer science, which would indicate that it's not an issue of we're not interested. It's just something is happening between that interest and then continuing on. 1 out of 4 jobs held by women in the IT industry, um, 1 out of 4 jobs held by women in the IT industry say that in women in technology statistics. So 1 out of 4 jobs. Um, and then in the last 40 years, almost 90% of all information technology licenses were made by male only teams. Less than 2% of tech teams included women. So those are just a couple of stats just to kind of keep in mind because it means that women actually are interested in those fields, but something is happening between that interest and then actually execution. So a couple more things just to highlight. Uh, Women hold only 11% of executive positions at Silicon Valley companies. Let's see what else. It also says in the high tech industry, the quit rate is more than twice as high for women, which is at about 41%, than it is for men, which is at about 17%. And it says a lot of it has to do with the bro culture that is
Ooh.
Mm.
actually um, exists in that industry.
And misconduct, things like
That
that.
that and not to mention that women in those same industries earned about 29% less than their male counterparts.
Okay, so I'm writing my notes here. Women are, all caps, interested. Men just suck. All right.
Right, that's the takeaway from that.
That's
Um,
incredible.
no, no, there is a culture. They actually have a name. It's called brogrammers instead of programmers. They
Of
call
course it
themselves
is.
brogrammers, and it is this culture of guys who are programming, and they don't want women in there, or they don't make women feel welcome.
Mm.
So there is that aspect to it. As a woman, it is hard to enter a field where like you're not going to talk to women most of the day.
Mm.
Like most of my day at work, I don't talk to any women, at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like things like what you said, Jeremy, like birthdays and, things like that, like getting birthday cards or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. That's out the window because guys don't do that, right?
Right.
Like they're not on top
Nobody,
of
who the
that. They're
frap
not.
cares about your birthday? Get out of here.
Right, right, right,
Meanwhile, you
right.
got Karen over here. Sorry, Karen. I'm so sorry that thing caught on, like the Karens of the world. Like,
I
poor
know. What if
Karens,
your name was
like
Karen?
cool
Poor,
women who
poor
were named
actual
Karen.
Karen.
It was just like,
I
look,
know.
that's not me. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
Meanwhile, she's like, oh, I
Yeah.
saw on
No.
Facebook it's somebody's birthday. Thought you know what I mean? Like organizing that sort of event. Yeah. So,
I know. It is very much, a little
mm,
intimidating as a woman to kind of go into a whole room of men and you're like, oh gosh,
right,
they're all looking at me. Oh my gosh.
right.
Like, don't look at me. Don't stare at me. You don't see me.
You know what? Two questions. One, are you okay with sharing an example of how the programmers kind of like maybe overstep just a little bit? Second question, um, no, let's just start there. Is there anything you can share with us?
I mean, so like I haven't really had much experience with, this programmer group because they're out in like there's stereotypically out in Silicon Valley and out in California and living that lifestyle. And so there's kind of an ego to them, like I'm a better programmer and I know everything and I'm so
Right.
smart.
Oh,
And there's kind
Guilfoyle.
of that ego that goes with them and and if you try to correct their code, oh my
Right.
gosh, they're going to make it a nightmare for you. And they don't take constructive criticism very
Mm,
well, that kind of thing. And it gets to the point where you're just like fed up and like, I want a better culture.
right.
Like I've been very lucky. I love my current
Mm-hmm.
job. We're in, and I have a great culture. It's not like that at all. So you just have to find the right job and the right fit. And I'm definitely happy where I'm at now. And I just got a promotion 3 weeks ago
Mm-hmm.
to be team lead. And so I was like really shocked. I'm like, hey, I'm new, right? Like,
Are you
are
sure?
you sure? Are you
But that's
sure? And
bananas
I
that
don't
that's
know.
even a thought for you, right? You put the work in, you put the time in, the effort, all of those things, and just how, for lack of a better word, poisonous the programmer culture can be, to where you're actually doubting your own achievements. Like that's not a small thing there.
Yeah, yeah, I have doubt in myself. It was like a big lack of
Mm,
confidence. I had to really like work on that. Like I was very afraid to make changes. I
mm,
was very afraid to like give someone else constructive criticism and that kind of thing. So I really had to work on that. Cuz me, I'm like, okay,
yes,
whatever.
yes, very
Like I'm a
much.
go with the flow
Yeah.
kind of person and I don't like to ruffle feathers and I found a great team that we can all work together and luckily it's not like that. We're all like, "Oh yeah, let's fix that. No
Hmm.
problem."
So, did you feel any pressure to kind of become more bro for the programmers?
So I think women in a lot of fields, especially fields where there's a lot of men, maybe more men than women,
Hmm.
feel like uh, it's kind of this I have to know more than the men just to get an entry level job. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like men can get in and enter with this knowledge and it always feels like women have to prove themselves even more. Like you have to show like yes, I actually do know this. You guys can trust me kind of thing.
hmm.
And maybe not so much to the, company, but more so to your team. Like you're trying to like show like yes, I can program in Python and I can do stuff too, like I can develop software
Hmm.
too. It's okay. I'm a woman. It's okay. You know.
Oh my. So, so the
Right.
opposite, it could be sometimes true as well. Do you ever feel like men or are intimidated by your capabilities, especially if you're telling them like, "Hey, you should use tabs instead of the space." Like, is that a real thing, by the way? Tabs versus space.
I'm proud of you. That is a real
I watch
thing.
TV.
Space matters.
Space matters. So which one are you? Are you a
Uh,
tab person, or are you more along the lines of more accuracy with spaces? Just I'm sorry for no sound
it
effects.
depends on the language,
Mhm.
but typically tab.
Ooh,
I'm a
you
tabber.
just messed up. Like half of the programmers, if they're watching this, are gonna be like, "How
Oh, I'm
dare
gonna be
you?
like,
How dare
comment,
you?"
comment,
Yeah,
comment.
you're gonna blow up in those. Just don't read them. Don't read them. It's okay.
Blow up.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Get out of this
Right.
industry.
Yeah. See, shout out because TV can be educational. I got that from Silicon. What is it? Silicon Valley,
Oh, that movie or
the
the
show
show?
on
The show.
HBO.
I love that show.
Yeah, that's a Guilfoyle reference for you kids out there.
Right? It's a
Absolutely.
good show.
So, what advice would you give, women who are thinking about entering into this type of field, as far as how to get started, how to get over the hump, as far as the learning, and the not feeling so intimidated by the programmers. I'm sorry, that's a catchy name. Whoever came up with that, I wanted
It
to
is
hate.
really
I wanted to hate
catchy,
this
right?
whole group, but I just can't. They sound adorable. It's a catchy
They're
name.
really good at naming themselves. It sounds like they have a secret handshake.
Oh,
You
right,
know,
right,
like
programmers. Right. It's also sort of like.
yeah, it's some secret handshake.
Yeah.
Um, my advice to really would be for parents starting out to just, have your children kind of show your children all different types of jobs and careers out there because you never know what they're going to be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can kind of pick for themselves and feel confident in picking, like, yes, I want to be an architect or I want to be, a playwright, something. And at least then they know. And so parents can start out with that. Like I'm starting to show my son how the remote works. I'm teaching him how to like press buttons and
Right.
like program the remote. And
Oh,
he's 3, by the way.
I need him to
I
help
didn't
me
want
out.
people to think he was like 15 or
Yeah,
something
like
like.
we're struggling with programming our universal remote to the TV.
Yeah, well, I'm like teaching. My son wants to learn it,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm teaching him different things, and then it for obviously there's a huge gender gap
Mm-hmm.
now, and so teaching your children will help in the future, but we need to do something to like lessen this gender
Right.
gap now. And so maybe there's women out there who are in a job that they just feel like a robot
Mm-hmm.
and they're sick of it. And I would encourage them. There's so many online resources. You can go there's all kinds of online programming. Just start out learning a language
Mm-hmm.
and see if you like it. It's free. There's a lot of free resources.
Oh man.
There's YouTube. There's all kinds of
Right.
stuff. That's how I initially learned is I just taught myself a bunch of stuff before I got my
Mm-hmm.
degree. And so, yeah, you can do that. And then, eventually I think you would need to probably get a degree and make a full on switch to the field.
Man, I am going to recruit you hard. I can't afford to do it properly, but I'm just gonna be really, really nice and just ask frequently, just to maybe bring you under the what the Frout banner, coding with Elise, like just little baseline stuff, but putting a lady's touch on it to accommodate those consumers out there, because it's not just men. And I don't know if I'm right. My confidence has been shaken by my producer. So I'm not sure if I'm right about this stat, but I'm pretty sure that women make up most of the consumers, and I really think they deserve to be catered to as well as the men. You know, so I'm really pushing
Well,
for that.
she mentioned that stat where, 90% of software was made by
Oh,
men.
men do not listen.
90%.
Men and their active
You know,
listening. I tell you what, I just can't with these guys. Yeah, I completely was not. I was being bombarded with information. I couldn't take it all in.
hence why you need women in the
Right.
field. We can listen.
I know, like actually listen, because like I caught two great facts, and I was like, okay, I'm wrong. Okay, anyway, right?
Yeah.
Well,
No,
that's
I think
crazy.
it's
Ninety
interesting
percent.
that a lot of women want, or a lot of girls are interested in the
Mm-hmm.
field, but just not getting into it. And
75
so,
percent.
there could be a stigma attached
Mm-hmm.
to it because, like, what do you think of when you think of a software developer? Probably a guy with a hoodie up, sitting
Yeah.
in a dark closet and programming,
Right.
right? And it's not very glorious and not very, like, attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and, maybe try to shine a light on it and make it look a little different. Like I do, I work from
Mm-hmm.
home, and so I am kind of in a closet, but on my own coding. But it's a lot more fun than that. You're making things, you're
Mm-hmm.
learning things, you're helping people out.
I definitely overlooked like digitally building things. You know, I'm definitely one who I love math, but I also like doing things with my hands. So that's kind of why I've slid into the mechanical engineering field. I'm a sports guy, done some coaching. I can't think of any other humble brags I can impose on you right now. But going back to what you said about getting parents involved, as far as them exposing people, shout out to my mom. She was one of those people like as I grew up and I was just walking around amongst little kids as a giant. Like she refused to let people pressure me into sports. He was like, "Oh man, he'd be a great football player. Oh, he should play basketball. All these things," and she's like, "He's gonna do exactly what he wants to do, as long as he's doing something."
Uh,
That was the rule. You're going to be doing something. And for me, for a long time, it was Boy Scouts and magic. That was my thing. I love comic books when I can get
Magic.
my hands on them. And then I got
Oh
interested
my
later,
god.
and then I ended up being okay at it. So I understand that exposure. I try to do that same thing. My wife and I try to do the same thing with our children. Just try a bunch of stuff. Like don't let can't be a part of your vocabulary. Don't just shut yourself off and limit yourself to a specific genre
Mm.
in anything. We mix our music, our movies. We watch a lot of anime around here. So we really try to diversify them within the home, and then just see what sticks. You know, so that I encourage parents to
Yeah,
do the same thing
definitely.
out there.
I think there are careers that are stereotypically
Mm-hmm.
female and stereotypically male,
Right,
right? Like
tellers or nurses.
sec- secretaries, you think of a
Mm-hmm.
woman. A nurse, you typically think of a woman. And the doctors, typically you think of a man, right? And so, like, I like to see that that's
Mm-hmm.
changing. I see a lot more women doctors. I see men as secretaries
Mm-hmm.
now. And so I like that things are, you know, people aren't you're putting their children on one path.
Right,
Like, no, you can't be a secretary. You're a boy,
right,
like
right.
you shouldn't do that.
Oh
You
man,
don't want to hold
well,
them
it's
back.
branding, right? Yeah, especially like you
It
said,
is.
doctors. I feel like women just in the medical profession just dominate that field. You know, and like we said, the interest is a part of it. Well, not for this particular area of career, but there's a myriad of different, um, I guess, reasons, right? Variables. But I think overall, once we just started, one, like you said, go to the roots. Parents, expose them to a lot of different things. Pay attention to what really captures, their eyes, and just be there to support. You know, rule we have is,
Oh, you know
yeah.
what? Oh, go
No, no,
ahead,
no. Go
Jeremy.
ahead.
Oh, so they actually make kids toys now that teaches them programming, and they start at like age 3.
Oh
And
yes.
so I've been like geeking out over these toys. I'm like, I want to play these toys. Like, I want these. And so I'm like buying them for my son. And they're like, just little hands on programming, very, very basic
Mm-hmm.
programming, of course. But and at least, they start to think that way. And I'm really curious now with all the pandemic and
Mm-hmm.
the all the remote learning and kids having to learn on iPads and everything. I'm really interested now to see how many kids want to learn to make their own apps or learn to make their own games or learn because that's the way a lot of kids get into this. They want to learn to make games and then they learn programming to make games.
Hmm.
And so I'm curious now to see like, oh, maybe kids do want to see, like how to make a
Hmm.
website, different things like that. So, because they're on the computer all day.
Right.
So,
And I think that's why it's
instead
such a
of just playing Minecraft.
right. Oh, don't even talk to me about
Yeah.
Minecraft. That is so addicting. Oh, I talk so much trash about this game. Look at this. Like, why am I working with blocks? Like, Call of Duty is out there. Why am I doing this? This is horrible.
And then you play
Oh, we went through a tutorial, and it was so funny the switch, the power dynamic, right? Because our kids are up here, like, oh, you do this for this and this for that. And then as me and my wife started playing, like, the four of us would play together before the boys were here, and even now. And it just started to switch because we got so obsessed. And as it stands right now, we're definitely smarter than them. So, so
Oh,
we just
okay,
caught
good.
on, and then it was
So,
like, wow, look at what mommy's building, and oh, dad's in the cave somewhere for days. It just, whew, it didn't take long. Yeah, and it's funny you talked about the toys. The producer is saying to me now that it's women, right, make 70 to are responsible for 70 to 80% of the purchasing decisions in America. It's like worldwide. Here in the U.S., 70 to 80%.
yeah,
Why do we
right.
have a bunch of dudes making decisions for women shoppers? Right.
Right.
I mean, it's almost
Women are doing the shopping
man,
and men are developing all the software to try
yeah.
to appeal to women.
Women be shopping.
There's a disc and we know how well men know women,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. We got y'all on lock. Right.
Right.
Yeah, like beer and football, like any other red-blooded American.
Oh, my cat is making an appearance.
Hello.
Ah, keyboard. They see a keyboard and they have to just step all
They.
over it.
What are their names and how many do you have?
Uh, I have two, Mater and Remy,
Mater?
and then we're actually Mater,
Like
like from
from
Cars.
Cars? Yeah. Like
Mater,
Toll Mater?
Toe Mater.
That's the Tennessee coming
You
out
know
of us. You gotta
me.
forgive us.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had to like keep some Tennessee in there. Jeremy, you should see it. The more I drink, the like more country, like my Tennessee accent comes
Oh, I
out. And
believe it. Yeah. Don't worry.
at the end of the night, I'm like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
y'all.
I'll make some better adult decisions and we'll get rid of this pandemic and then that way I'll be able to safely, and affordably come see you. Look, because
Yes.
I haven't met Mr. Harper there, like face to face. I feel
Oh,
like there's been
really?
passing interaction. No, no, no. Wait,
Yeah.
maybe no.
No, I could have swore you guys did
I feel
at.
like okay, back in Tennessee, I feel like you were home and I was home at the same time.
You came over, yeah. We were all
I'm trying to
there.
think. So your mom just outshines so many people. It's hard to keep track of whom else is
Oh
in
my,
in the atmosphere there.
oh
Yeah.
Lord, my
Oh
mom. Good
man, I miss her
Lord.
so much. So yeah, thank you, Mater, and the other one. The other name is not sticky. I'm stuck on Mater.
Because Mater's
Yeah,
awesome.
you can't
He's
say
the
that. There's
smart
no
cat.
choosing sides. Although
Yep.
I very frequently, and this is probably bad, and I want this to stay in. Do not cut this. I need to confess to the people out there. Okay, you ready?
Oh, a
I
confession.
definitely have a favorite kid. Here's the thing. It's very fluid. And I tell them very openly, like, oh man, you're my favorite today. Like it literally depends on what happens, and they used to, be cute about it and try to vie for that position. And now especially the girls are just like, my
Right.
boys
We're
are
like, what?
yes, my girls are 15 and 11. My boys are 1 and 3. So the 1 and 3 year old are still like competing. So that's with either parents. So, if one is getting some love, some smooches and whatnots, the other one comes charging over like, oh, okay, me too, let's go. You know,
Yeah, they get
yeah.
jealous of each
Meanwhile, the
other.
girls are just like, anyway,
I know, right?
yeah.
They're like over
Yeah,
it.
we ain't
Like,
got time for that anyway. I'm too cool to love my parents.
no. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. So we were talking about like, that number is still shocking to me. I mean, it makes sense. I don't know if that's the sexism in me or what, but women make 70 to 80% of the shopping decisions here in America, and I'm here for it. I've been a single person, and I've been a married person. Marriage is definitely better. I feel like every man should just try it. Just try it. Just see how much better your life is when you're just like, where's my sock? It's like, have you checked your drawers? Like, oh, okay, there we go. And I married me a Southern woman. We dated in high school, even though she went to our crosstown rival. Begrudging shout out to Central High School. So yeah,
Oh
we
my
dated
god.
in high school. She broke up with me. She realized her huge mistake, and then I accepted her back, and now we're happily married. Is that about right? Is that how you would say it? So yeah, so her making most of the decisions is I'm here for that because I feel like she has better judgment than I do. Yeah, and who needs all these dudes making decisions on behalf of women? I mean, like what's next? A bunch of dudes sitting around in a room talking about women's reproductive rights? Like I don't know.
Pretty
It's
much, yeah.
nuts. It's nuts. Like how do you not like bring you guys into the conversation? But
Well, did you hear about the Twitter hackers?
Twitter hackers.
It
Uh,
Yeah, it just happened like a month or two ago, and these it ended up being one kid from Orlando and then a couple other people involved, and they hacked Twitter. Like they hacked like
mm-hmm.
Obama's Twitter and like a bunch of
Uh huh.
celebrities, and they were asking for Bitcoin
I feel
donations.
like I
So they
heard
got all
that.
this Bitcoin. Yeah, and like
Yeah,
yeah, they caught him, but yeah, that was crazy.
that's nuts. Again, with my misconceptions of how much security these guys have, even the whole
Right.
DNC hack thing. Like, how crazy was
Yeah.
that? It's like, so how did they do it? Like, show me the top secret, like, MI6 or what do you call it, Mission Impossible. Let me see Tom Cruise on the harness, lowering into, the Democratic National Convention. Like, no, they just sent a bunch of spam emails and somebody clicked on it. Like, are we really
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
bad at knowing, like, how to navigate this sort of technology?
I think a lot of, and I don't know the exact stats here, but a, like most of the hacks come from, people pulling one over on the employees, and the employees let their guard down, and they trust a website or an email, and they click on it,
Ooh,
and then they get hacked from the inside or the outside.
yeah. Well, before I knew had any knowledge of like Crunchyroll and Funimation, which are apps for anime, like these little sites. I used to try to do just try to find it wherever I could online, and it would always be this flashing like warning, warning. It's like I'm sure it'll be okay. I've got to catch up on my
Yeah.
show. And then when it would freeze it or whatever it would do, it's like, oh, freak out. But so I wasn't that important. So I just feel like there should be more security for these people. You know.
Yeah, I mean, so most companies' security is kind of an afterthought, right? Like they don't have the funding for it, they don't have the people.
Mm,
It's such a kind of a new and growing field
yeah.
that a lot of people don't have the skills to do it. I'm kind of learning on the job.
Mm,
It's not really something they taught me in my degree. So, I'm picking a lot of things up as I go.
mm,
But, it's like hard to get that experience,
right.
right? And so a lot of companies don't have the skills to deal with this. I've heard of police stations getting hacked with ransomware and their computers taken down unless they pay the ransom, and
What?
they end up paying it. And I'm like, isn't there another way around this?
Right.
I mean,
What's
yeah.
the tech equivalent to the bomb squad? Is it the nerd squad? Is that bad? Is that a bad joke?
Well, we have security teams, that
Do
go
they
in.
wear all black jumpsuits with lots of pockets?
And like fall out of the ceiling
Yeah, with
like
glasses with the tape.
with the Mission
Yeah.
Impossible soundtrack. Playing.
I love the idea
Oh,
of
that
that.
would be way cooler.
I love the idea of that kind of overkill, like Mission Impossible harness down, and it's just them simply putting in some code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Now I'm gonna try to get a confession out of you. You ready for this?
Oh Lord. I don't know.
Obama and some other celebrities get hacked. Turns out it's a kid in Orlando. Follow me here now. You're in Orlando, teaching your son how to program a remote control.
Right, right, right. He's 3, so he can't
I'm
even
not hearing to know. I'm
spell.
just saying.
Right.
Yeah. Look, I want to get into some of that stuff. You have got to. We'll stay in contact, and you keep me abreast of these different programs and stuff like that out there. Because I think my sons are already terrorists when it comes to. I probably shouldn't say the word terrorist, but terrorists. Okay, they're terrorists when it comes to our electronics. They know how to kind of work the PlayStation, the remotes, and it's just nuts. And creepy at times. I mean, picture it. It's 2:30 a.m. I walk out and sitting in the dark with a PlayStation control. All I can see is like the glow of the front of the controller, and I'm looking like, who is up at this time of night? And it was my then 2-year old who had, I guess, on
2 year
his own fuld out how to turn the TV on, how to turn the PlayStation on, how to go to a profile, how to get to a network to get to his octonauts. Like
Right.
another time,
You know, it amazes me how quickly kids catch on to
yeah,
technology.
which
And they catch on so
yeah,
fast. These 2, 3 year olds, they know how to work it all. Like better than my grandpa. You know?
yeah, like it makes me feel like a bad parent sometimes. It's because like I could probably put a little more effort into this parenting thing. Let's get them some lessons or watch some interesting YouTube videos. Like my 3-year old now,
Right.
like his taste, he just gave up on like kid shows on Netflix for a while. And he's just like surfing YouTube. He found one where I guess they pour like some kind of metal down ant holes. Like they smoke the ants out, I believe. Then they pour this metal, let it cool, and then they dig it up, and then power wash it so that you can see the intricate, networks of the ants. And I thought this is some cool stuff. I would have never thought to look. And I love ants. I, I'm not gonna get into it because anytime I'm in traffic, I'm yelling, "Look to the ants! Ants never have a pilot. The ants are never cutting each other off. It's just like zippers, taking turns, working together." Oh, that's a whole thing. Like, my wife is
We,
cringing over
we
there.
can we can learn a lot from ants, I
Yes.
guess.
Okay. All right. We'll talk later. We'll talk later. She's over here. I'm getting one of these at least.
You know, Jeremy, what I want to do.
What's that?
This would be a really good one. Teaching Jeremy to program.
That would be fun. Listen. I won't let you down, Captain.
Drunk
Put me
Jeremy.
in the game.
Drunk Jeremy programming.
Well, listen. I'm a Southern Christian boy. I can't be drunk. Is a dirty word in my community, right? Yeah, I don't drink to the point of drunkenness anymore. See, growth. Yeah, that's
I'm
what getting
proud of
married
you.
does to you. Yeah, I'm very
Right. I'm
yeah, I'm
proud.
very much tame these days. You're welcome.
I know. I'm usually in bed like 2 hours ago.
Oh, how long you been? Oh, how long have we been going?
About an hour and
Hour and 50? Whew.
How long are your podcasts? Surely not an
Oh,
hour,
I
right?
just talk. Listen, you know me. I can talk.
but
I'm very interested.
to keep her on our schedule since we were late, you do need to wrap it up.
Oh, she said to keep you on the schedule since we were late, which my bad. We're gonna wrap it up soon.
He's
Oh,
very bad at time zones. He failed to mention that you were in the Eastern time zone,
like who
so
lives
we're
in Eastern
thinking
time zone?
7 o'clock our time. We were gonna get started, and yeah, that wasn't the case. So
Yeah, and see, we got
Yeah.
ready pretty quickly. Well, then we had some microphone issues, which is why it should be early. You're on time if you're early, and you're late if you're on time. You're welcome, America. Yeah. So, anything you'd like to promote? Any side programs or anything that you're trying to do to really get the word out about coding and you know just exposure in general? Any last thoughts on parents and getting their children involved and sort of what programs you can lead us to?
It was funny when I was taking programming classes and I still worked in TV, and people kind of found out that I was doing it and wanting to kind of switch careers. And they were like, a lot of people were interested. They were like, how do you like learn to program? How do you start out doing it? And I was like, I just kind of started out really basic, like HTML. And I was like, wow, this, I can make
Mm-hmm.
websites. And then I just kept going. I'm like, what's this? What's this? Like, what's a database? What's this? And I just kept kind of peeling back the layers as I went. And I think that's a really good way to like introduce yourself is like start by making a website because you can see
Mm-hmm.
that and you can see right away like, oh, I can put graphics up here, I can put my picture, I can put text, anything like that. And you're learning to code. And so from there, you can get more interested. You're like, well, what if I put video? What if I want to put, a database
Mm-hmm.
behind it? What if I want an email form? And so that's probably like just the best way to get started is like sign up for a free website, start coding, just do basic, you don't have to start out learning C programming language or C++.
Mm-hmm.
You can just start out basic and then get deeper and deeper as you go. And finally you can start out teaching yourself to make games. That's a good
Oh, that'd
way.
be so fun.
I Yeah, a lot of kids get into it because they realize I can just program my own games.
Oh
And
man,
so that right? Now I got you interested.
got me
Got the
hooked.
wheels turning up
Yeah, but
there.
I'm just another dude. I'm just another dude. Or is this your roundabout way of getting my daughters back involved in it? Very clever. Very clever.
I think that's
I
it.
see what you
I
did
think
there.
that I want them to get the free laptop.
I want. I think shamefully I wanted that. It was like, man, I don't have to buy you a
I know,
laptop.
right?
Let's
You were like,
go.
yeah,
Yeah,
go get a free laptop. Totally.
that is awesome. So I'm gonna hold you to this ideal of me having a sip or two, learning the code from you, so people can see my failures and successes. So give me one piece of homework that you would give someone in order to, like you said, just get started. Do you have any specific websites that you like, or is it just like get on Facebook or what is it, YouTube, and just get started somewhere?
So there's a lot of classes out there, Udemy or Coursera, or I was doing the LinkedIn training videos for a
Mm-hmm.
while. I learned a lot that way, just kind of teaching myself on my own. And then, like, I didn't know a lot of these terms, like the marketing people like to throw around, like SEO and, AdWords and all these
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So I just took a few of the tutorials on it just to learn. Now I'm like, okay, I gotcha. I know what you're talking about
All
now.
right, all right. Okay, well, hey, thanks so much for coming. I'm gonna have to get you to come back. I'm not done with you. I need an update on whether or not is it in fact your son who is responsible for hacking into celebrities' accounts, Twitter accounts. Yeah, I'm
Right,
gonna do some
right. If
investigative
my
journalism.
toddler could do that, then I think we're on to like the smartest person.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us. Please come back. Is that a deal?
Of
I'll give
course.
you plenty of time to wash
Thank
this
you.
bad taste out your mouth, but you have to come back. I had a great time.
I
Yeah, and
know.
good
I
luck
miss
to you
you.
in all your endeavors, and congrats again on your promotion. And hopefully next
Thank
time you won't let me drink alone. Your mother will not be happy
I
about this.
know. I will
Yeah.
be.
All right.
Won't you?
That's my cue. Thank you
Oh!
so much for joining us.
Oh!
Good night.
Oh!
Tell
Okay. Okay,
yeah.
bye,
Hey,
dude.
tell Mater them and Ryan. It is Ryan, right? I don't know. I'm not making it up, am
Yeah.
I? Yeah. Tell
Yeah.
Ryan to say hello.